You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If on the other hand you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Friday, 14th day of June, 2019. Everybody's been working for the weekend, and by golly, here it is. Thanks so much for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. That's what matters. I have up on the big screen a chart of the S&P 500 Emini Futures. It is a daily chart. We've been talking about the daily chart a lot of late because there's some pretty important big picture dynamics underway. And if you know where you are in the bigger picture, it makes navigating the smaller time frame where you take your entries and exits a little simpler to navigate. I'll go into more detail. I just want to point out real quick, you can see the area we've highlighted, since I highlighted it Saturday morning at the Telegram channel, where we had the bearish cross on the daily chart. We felt certain. We knew that it was a high probability, perhaps a better way of saying that, As price approached this area, we would find potential resistance. Traditional support resistance methods may not apply here, but for us and per our methodology, which is quite simple, as we say, trading is not easy, but it can be simple. Identified this area, and as we can see for 1, 2, 3, 4, day 5, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it is indeed served as good resistance. The next high probability move for the market will be back down to the BBC, which is just a term for this green line. We call it the bull bear cross line. BBC, bull bear cross, simply means when price is below the BBC, as we found it last December, worst December since 1932. Well, you can see what happened. Now in January, price did get back above the BBC. And when price is above the BBC, we always anticipate higher prices. Below, we anticipate lower prices. Above, we anticipate higher prices. Now that's a glimpse into the simple world of trading the CFRN E-mini method. It's not all there is to it, but it gives you an idea how simple it can be. All right, we move forward. Lo and behold, along comes May, and what happens? We get back below the BBC. And market takes us from about 2,900 down to 27, below 2,750, 150 S&P points. Last Friday, we had pulled back to the BBC, and that's crunch time. As you can see over here, when we were above and pulled back, we got another leg, pulled back, and got another leg. It's because it holds more often than it doesn't. Then as we traded down through the BBC, we pulled back and it held, which gave us another leg. And then right here, last Friday, this is exactly what I said. It was last Thursday that I said it. My apologies. I said last Thursday I needed to see a daily candle open above the BBC. This candle, you see how it opened? It's above, it's not touching. Above the BBC and close above the BBC, no touching. That will change my daily chart narrative from bearish to bullish. Now, over here on this pullback from above, you see how we hugged the line for 1, 2, 3, 4 trading days. On this pullback, we hugged the line for 2 trading days. All I was looking for here is the exact same thing from the market to show me what its intention was. What are your plans? What's cooking? What's next? The market has its own way of whispering into your ear what the next high probability thing is. Please understand, you cannot know with certainty what will happen next. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Not man nor machine. Not indicator, oscillator, not guru, not nothing, not nobody, not no way, not no how. Unless you're God. You see, God created this world in which we live. He gave us the ability to recall the past, but we can do absolutely nothing to change it. Right? In fact, our ability to know the future is directly related to our ability to change the past, which is a superpower none of us have. Well, if you can't know what's going to happen next, Why in the heck am I spending all this money on these indicators and these oscillators and things that go bump in the night? That's a great question. That's a really good question. Marketing? Moolah? Wall Street? Vendors? Pick one. Anyone. If you want to learn how to trade, then that's simply what you do is you learn how to trade. All the widgets and gadgets and gadgets, all the stuff that litter the path to Wall Street, many, unfortunately, are designed to just take your money before you even get to the Emerald City. Doesn't have to be that way. It does require you taking a stand. It does require that you confront truth face to face. What we teach is simple because it's the truth about markets. Truth is a beautiful thing. Truth can set you free. Unfortunately, many of us have a hard time embracing truth because that means dispelling the magic. And who doesn't want to have that superpower of being able to call the market and tell everybody what's going to happen next? Jim Cramer makes a living doing it. But I won't go down that path. Jim's a nice fellow, and he gives a lot of money to charity. But if you know anything about Jim, and if you've watched Jim over the years, nobody can backpedal a story like this guy. 2 weeks before Bear Stearns blew up, he was telling everybody there is no safer place on planet Earth to put your money than Bear Stearns. It blew up. 2 weeks later, he's on his show in a little rowboat. Yeah, he's got lots of props. Trying to convince everybody that he had warned them about this very thing. He does know they record the show, right? And people can play it back. Go on YouTube. Some of his co-hosts had a field day poking fun at him. Now, I don't mean to pick on him. He's not doing anything anyone else doesn't do on TV, talking heads, radio. He just maybe does it a little better. But is that what you want? I mean, how many times have you heard things like, we're definitely moving higher from here unless we start to break down? Doesn't matter what happens tomorrow, I'm going to look pretty doggone smart, right? Now, this is a historical chart. Always remember, anybody can look like a genius with a historic chart. So don't let people pull the wool over your eyes. Now, do historical charts have their place? Yeah, it's right in front of us. Here's a purpose for it. But when people use historical charts and data to mislead and deceive those hard-working people who've saved up their money and would like to learn how to trade, well, I don't know, it's just wrong on so many levels. You have to be careful out there. Now, please don't think I'm trying to say that we're the only place in town that will give you a fair shake. There's lots of good companies out there, lots of good teachers and trainers and mentors. I mean, you got to look hard because the field is crowded. There's a lot of static on the channel. But you can find them, okay? Just know that the gimmicks and the parlor tricks and all of that stuff, while they may perform for a season, they're not going to serve you over the long haul. What we do is not only simple, again, it is fluid across all markets and all time frames. While we can't know the future, no one can, we can understand what the next high probability thing the market will do, and that's something you can learn. You too can learn how to know what the next high probability move is once you understand how markets work. So there's no veil of mystery surrounding what we do, what we cover, what we teach, what we understand. We share with you the lens through which we see the market. If you like what you see, you can learn to think the same way. There it is in a nutshell. Yesterday, on this radio program, we were on the M contract. We have rolled forward to the U September. So I'm going to back this chart up for just a second to the June contract. Okay. And it would have been right here. Yesterday on the program, we talked at great length. And if you did not catch yesterday's program, do this. You can go to youtube.com/CFRN. youtube.com/CFRN/ no more slashes. youtube.com/CFRN. You can watch yesterday's broadcast. Okay. There's a shortened version. Valerie will give you the link to it. She'll put it in the chat box. She has edited, I think, 3 shows from this week. They may not all be up yet, but they'll be there at some point later today or over the weekend. And you can see what we were talking about yesterday, but just as a reminder, we had a Logic 247 alert to consider being short, 28.83. It triggered once, made it down to 28.77.5. Got back above the trigger, triggered again. This time we dropped to 75.25, back above the trigger, down to 75.25 again, back above the trigger, and this time we went all the way down to the weekly trading zone below. The trading zones are published every Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern, for all partners and passport holders since December 14th of 2009. When price approaches a weekly trading zone from above, we expect it to be good support, till it isn't. Not only was this good support, price was rejected. See the wick? Price was not comfortable here. So again, the alert, important price, important area, 28.83. Please remember that important prices, important areas are almost always tested. 1, 2, 3, 4 times, 28.83 served as a great trigger. Okay? And then, when price was rejected at the zone below, the high probability place for it to go was to the zone overhead. As we can see right here, it did. When price approaches the zone from below, we expect it to be good resistance until it isn't. Now, these are 30-minute candles. Good resistance, good resistance. Good resistance. So we have a leg, a retracement, try again, a retracement. Now, this is where the dynamic of this 30-minute chart changed. Remember, every time that price came down through 28.83, it served as a trigger. This time it didn't. In fact, if I were to extend this line all the way over, just look at the red crosshair. What happened this time when price got to that trigger? It was rejected. So if it's rejected there, the high probability place for it to go is to the zone overhead, where we expect it to be good resistance until it isn't. Yesterday on this candle, during the broadcast, I was talking about this dynamic, and we gave credible reasons based upon our narrative, based upon the lens through which we see the markets, based on how we think that 2887 to 2883 was a high probability move. We were up around, I think, 2892. Again, you can go and watch the recording and just see it, so I'm not making this up. I said it yesterday, and because it was yesterday, I can still remember most of it. On the move down, the swing low was 2883 to the tick. Price was rejected, and it went back to the zone. Is that a surprise? Not at all. It's part of how markets work. It's something that you can learn. These zones published since December 14th, 2009 are tools you can use. All right, we consolidate at that zone. We come back down into this area, 2883. We're not rejected this time. Something a little different happens. But where does price go? And naturally, it tries to gravitate back to the zone overhead. And where are we? Right here, right now. Yesterday, much ado about 2883. Here's 2883. Today, okay. Now, there were decisive movements made at 2883. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. And then we start to see something a little bit different. Okay. Now, today's rollover day, volume divided between the June contract and the September contract. Anytime you have an important price, important area, and price begins to print above it, below it, above it, below it, whether it's the BBC or weekly trading zone, important price, important area, it's the market telling you conditions at the moment are not conducive to placing a trade. In other words, right here, right now. Now, yesterday, I said with conviction that I believed the next high probability move, 2087 to 2083. It came naturally. It was instinctive because it's the lens through which I see the market. It's how I think. Can I make any kind of statement remotely close to that today? No, I cannot. Because the market is telling me something different, showing me something different. Right now, the market is telling us that it's trying to make up its mind. Is it going here or is it going here? There are very few absolutes in the world of trading. But I absolutely promise you, by the time we talk on Monday during this radio program, price will have either gone to 28.94 or it will have gone to 28.68. Your job becomes to identify when this period of indecision is over, when the market has truly made up its mind, and then you have what we like to call opportunity. When one takes on the mantle of being a trader, one feels that they should always be trading, right? That's what traders do. Actually, what traders do 80% of their time is look for the next opportunity. That's 4 days out of a 5-day week. When I first started trading Emini Futures, if I didn't have at least 2 hooks in the water at the same time, I did not feel alive. That was a pretty expensive fishing expedition. Luckily, I came to my senses before too much damage was done. In fact, the financial damage was not that great. The psychological damage, sometimes it still tortures me in the middle of the night. I wake up in a cold sweat. And then I remember, I don't have to think that way anymore. I have a new way of thinking. I have a better way of thinking. I'm now able to see the market with some clarity because I now understand how markets work. So, I said all that to say this. You really should take the trial if you haven't. Michael's going to show you how to do that here in just a moment. Now, our trial may be different than other trials that you've taken. Our trial is conducted in a live trading room, 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Not only do you see our method in play, we encourage you to download our indicators, put them to work on your chart, on your platform. We service Ninja, DT Pro, a number of others. Michael can tell you more about that as well. We want you, at the end of your 5-day trial, to have experienced everything we offer. The weekly trading zones, the indicators, and most important, the lens through which we see the market. In those 5 days, we're going to try to teach you how we think. So, and then you download the indicators, put them through their paces. At the end of the week, you'll be able to make a very intelligent decision, a well-informed decision, as to whether or not what we do is right for you. Michael will tell you more about that. Let me real quick give you the numbers from around the world, cash markets starting here in the US. And then we'll go to Michael for a recap. And then I'll be back to chat with John. Now, today's show will probably be brief to a degree, only because this sideways market, which will continue at least until everyone's on the new contract, and the market will find its direction, and the market will make it somewhat clear what it's trying to do. And of course, as your hosts, we'll do our best to convey that information to you. If you have questions, put them in the chat box. We're happy to answer any and all questions. You only need ask. All right, cash markets, starting with the Dow. Here in the US, currently down 25 points. NASDAQ down 42. S&P 500 down 7. And the Russell 2000 down 11. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 46 cents, trading 52.74 last. That's almost a gain of 1%. Gold, go gold, up $8.20, trading 13.5190 last. In the Asian markets, at the close, the Nikkei was up 84 points. Shanghai was down 28, and the Hang Seng down 176. And in European markets, at the close, FTSE down 23, DAX down 73, and the CAC down 8. Across world markets today, we have no movers and no shakers. Quiet Friday. And next Friday will be, I believe I heard Michael say in the room this morning, triple witching. Is that correct, Michael? I say, is that correct, Michael? Val, have you seen Michael? Okay, Michael's not here. Let me see if I can round him up. Hang on. Are you there? Question mark. Okay.
Question mark.
Hey, question
Hey,
mark. What up? Was you at the Keurig machine?
I am here.
All right.
Yes. Okay. I will do my recap.
Giddy up.
Here we go.
Sorry, I was on the phone.
I know
Sending
it's
a link.
Friday. Yeah, you guys are already tying your flies, getting ready to go fishing. Okay.
No, I got the 115. With the 115. Okay, so I have the charts now. You guys should be looking at my
You
charts.
got them, and
Excellent.
theoretically, I will be here when you're done.
Okay, theoretically. Theoretically. Electronically. Somehow. You'll be there. All right. Here we go. Let's bump this up. Okay, if you have not taken a free trial with us, and we had an open house today, so we had a pretty good showing in the open house. So to take the free trial, go here to where it says 5-day free trial, apply.cfrn.net, and click on that, and that will bring you straight to this screen right here where it says trading's not easy, but it can be simple, like it was this morning. In there, all we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Your name, your email, and your phone number. Okay. Send us that, and you get all the information to take our 5-day free trial. Okay, 1 week, 5 days, free trial. Gonna jump through the spreadsheet quick. Today is the 14th day of June, 2019. We made 4 ticks in the euro, 5 ticks in gold, and 2 ticks on the ES. That got us exactly to the goal for the day. Exactly to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $120 a contract. And it took us 10 trades to get there. We made it on our last trade of the morning session, 120 minutes. We don't have any ones in here so far this month. Last month, how many times do we make it on the first trade? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times last month on the first trade. We don't have any ones yet this month. But, I mean, we're doing okay. We're doing okay on the month. So it's 120 minutes. Okay. So on the month now we're at $1,475. That's over 10 days, averaging 147 a day. And on the year we're at 13,238. That's over 105 days, averaging 126 per day. 126 per day. All right. So let's go through what we did and didn't do this morning. Okay. Here we go. We started out right here. We had a long opportunity right here, a momentum long trade, and we ended up with a break even on that one. Okay, ended up with a break even on that. And we had a short opportunity here, ended up with a break even on that. And another short opportunity here, where we ended up with a break even. Over here, we had +5. That was right at the end of the session. And that's where we made our goal for the day. All right, during the break, nothing on the long side, but there was a shorting opportunity right here to pick up a few ticks. And there's another one happening right now. Could be short right there at 1351. 1351. That was gold this morning. Okay, and now on the euro. All the markets started out really choppy today. But the euro, we picked up 2 ticks on this first one that, gave us a little bit of room, moved the stop to break even. It took us out at break even, and then it dropped like it should have. And then we picked up 2 more ticks here. And it pulled back, and then it eventually dropped like it should have. During the break, let's see, there was nothing there during the break. Okay, and on crude, let's see. Hang on, gotta let it load up. There you go. On crude, we had a break even right here. We made a couple of ticks on that one, right there, +2. We missed one there. No, we missed one there and there too. Darn it. We stopped out on this one. And we stopped out pretty much to the tick, but it would have stopped us out eventually anyway, because it never went into profit. It closed down below the MA1 over here, but it never made it back to the entry point. So on GC last trade, explain. Okay, I'll go back and do that part in a second. Well, not in a second, in a few minutes. There was a long trade right here on the close on the trend line that we missed. A long trade right here That was a close above the trend line and above the MA1 that we missed. And then we picked up one right here where we gained 6 ticks, brought us back to break even. And after that, just looking at this market, it was a mess. And you know, today was rollover day. So, you know, rollover day on the ES is usually going to make the rest of the markets a mess, and it did. During the break, there was a shorting opportunity right here off the BBC that moved down. That worked out okay. There was nothing on the long side, nothing on the long side, nothing. And that was it on crude. We ended up at break even on crude after being up +2. We ended up, and being down -6. We ended up at break even. All right, on the ES, when the markets just opened up, we missed this short right here. That would have given us the goal for the day right there. But we grabbed onto this next one right here, picked up 2 ticks on that, and then the markets got really, really choppy. Okay, and there was nothing that we could do. See that big leg up, then a big leg down? It's just whipsawing back up. There's nothing you can do with that. There's nothing you should do with that, I'll say. Okay. Now, on a larger time frame, it might look a little more appealing, but on a small time frame, you know, let's go. Let's jump out to the 30-minute here. Yeah, even that's ugly. There's nothing pretty about this. It pulled all the way back up to the BBC, and that's where you would expect it to go down. It did go down, but it pulled all the way beyond the BBC, about, I don't know, 4 points beyond the BBC. And you would expect it to go down there, and it did go down, but then it went right back up, hit the BBC, right back down, but in the same 30-minute candle. You see that one right there? Okay, let me blow this up so you can see it a little better. In the same 30-minute candle right there, it hit the BBC, went all the way down to the swing low, and came all the way back up and closed right up here near the top at the BBC. And the next candle bounced off the BBC again, and now it's still working off the BBC. The current candle is approaching the BBC. Down here in the slingshot, it's saying, don't go long. Okay, that was the ES today. That's the ES right now. All right. So we'll get back over here to this. If you are going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we made 4 ticks in the euro, 5 ticks in gold, and 4 ticks on the ES. It put us exactly at $100 per contract. Today it took the full 2 hours and 10 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract. On the month now, we're at 1475. That's over 10 days, averaging 147.5. And on the year, 13,238. That's over 105 days, averaging 126. 126. Okay. And that was our morning session. All right. Here we go. Here we go. If you have not taken a free trial with us, again, just go here to the homepage at CFRN.net. And right over here in the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial, apply.cfrn.net. Click on that, and that will bring you to this page where all we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Okay. Once you put that stuff in, then we will be able to give you all the information you need to get into the live training room. There. Okay, the last GC trade. Hang on, Bart. It was a close above the trend line right here. I know the cycle was going down kind of steep, but I jumped into it right at the end. And I put it on and picked up 5 ticks. Okay, since then there's only been 1 trade right over here. Right over here. Okay. All right. And with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Yes, Dwayne is there.
Wow, that was a coincidence. I was ready to make some huge apology. I blew it. Okay, so good. It was perfect timing.
Nope, it was perfect timing. It worked out just right.
Okay.
Just right. Okay.
Question in the chat box.
There's
Answered it?
Bart, and I just answered those. Yep. And John's not in yet, so I don't know if you jingled him or.
I did. I spoke to him, and he said he would be here.
Okay.
Momentarily.
Okay.
Now, recap of the recap.
Today it took the whole morning session, 120 minutes, and 10 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we were up $100 per contract.
And that's a good bingo. All right, guys, ask some questions, okay? Because, again, we have a sideways market. That's the S&P going sideways. This is the Dow going sideways. This is the U contract. There were questions last night, or discussion about. Here, let me do that again. Yeah, let me go here. We put this on the June contract. Okay, let's try that again. Okay. All right. Weekly trading zones. I've already talked about several days this week. I went into some detail about what they are, what a powerful tool it is. It gives you, incredibly powerful information. And our traders have the zones for the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the NQ, Crude, gold. Did I miss something? I think that's it. Every Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Whenever rollover day approaches, everyone says, what about the zones? We're going to a new contract. Obviously, the same zones can't work for the new contract. That doesn't make sense. No, I agree it doesn't make sense. However, this is the June contract where the market found good support and good resistance from zone to zone. As I said yesterday, price is always on a mission. It's always headed to a zone. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to learn to read the chart so that you understand which zone it's trying to get to. And then you just hitch your ride. All right, so this is the June contract. Good support, good resistance. Now if we go to the September, good support, good resistance. The Russell. I don't know if I've updated these on this chart yet. Let me check. All right. 1532.33, that's a good zone this week. And then the zone above that is way up at 65.66. So does this happen? Apparently it does. Yes, we can spike above a zone. And when the next zone is that far, this type of behavior is not that unusual. This is more like the typical distance between zones. I can scrunch this up a bit. June 9th. Actually, we can't get a clear picture because there wasn't a lot of volume there back on the 9th. I can show it to you better on the S&P, and I'll do that in a moment. So we found good support at the zone here on the September contract, and we traded up the zone overhead where we consolidated. And the price attempted to go to the zone overhead, realized it didn't have the stuff to get there, the energy, the momentum, or even the motivation on the part of buyers. So what does it do? When it can't go to the zone overhead, there's only one place left to go, and that's the zone below, where it consolidated, attempting to make up its mind. Well, what now? It just proved it couldn't get to the zone overhead. So I know you're already 2 thoughts ahead of me. So am I trying to say that the high probability move right now, based upon the lens through which we see markets and the way we think, 1528 down to 1523, a 5-point move? Yeah, that is exactly what I'm saying. Now, part of being able to read a chart, it's not overly complicated either. Once you learn how to read, you can read. Whether it's War and Peace or the Sunday Funnies, right?
You know what's odd about that is once you learn how to read, you can't not read.
Very well said. Yes, that's true. That is true. So
John's out in the audience.
okay, we look left. We see that there was support here at 15, basically 28. So to create an even higher probability move, we might say 1527 to 1523. Could we tighten that up even more? Well, we could, okay, because zones are an area. So we could go a point above. We could say 1527 to 1524. Let me put that on the screen, as I did yesterday with that S&P move. 1527 to, and we'll just keep an eye on it throughout today's radio broadcast. 1527 to 1524. Based on the fact that what the market is showing us right now, if it touches 27, there is no higher probability in trading that I know of than a move to 24. Does that mean it's going to happen? No. Will I be surprised if it doesn't? Well, I'm beyond surprised. I just accept it because my analysis and my narrative did not match up with what the market actually did. That happens, and the sooner you understand that and accept that and stop every time you get stopped out, oh, back to the drawing board. My system doesn't work. My method doesn't work. My indicators are garbage. No. That's what feeds the machine with the vendors and the indicators and the oscillators. You got to stop the madness. Settle down. You'll be fine. John, welcome to the show. John?
Hi.
Welcome. Good to have you with us. Happy Friday.
Thanks. We had some pretty. Well, I was expecting the gold to jump up yesterday, actually, and the way it did this morning, but it kind of probably overshot a bit and got up to 1360 or so.
It did.
And silver got up to 1511, and we're in a bit of a pullback mode right now. If you remember, not so long ago, I said that the palladium is looking like it's going to go to new all-time highs, and it's just unbelievably bullish right now. This palladium, it's come back from 1,300 to 14. It's gone up $150, 160 almost off its recent lows, and it's I think it's leading the gold and silver market higher. I think next week, look, as we tried to explain not so long ago, the tough thing about a bear market and transitioning to a bull market is, recognizing the change. I used it on this show. It's like a big lever in the sky, the man upstairs.
Yeah, right.
Swings the lever from bearish to bullish, and everything changes, and it really does, because look at the beans. We were being beaten down. The last sell-off was a pretty bad sell-off into the lows.
Here's
it just sort of
soybeans
turned on a dime.
30 minutes.
and we had a key reversal, a beautiful doji, and we're going higher. I mean, look, this is an upward running correction. I mean, as I said a few days ago, this beans are looking very, very bullish. Now we're closing the week on the high, and the surprises are on the upside. I mean, that is the essence of almost all the markets we're in right now. The surprises are on the upside.
Just a couple pennies away from that $9 target we've been talking about now for 2 weeks.
And on the November beans, we're already at 920. So we're in a kind of a perfect scenario in terms when the future prices of beans are more expensive than today. That's pretty bullish. The lumber has been, just unbelievable. It's gone up from under 300 just about a week ago to 389 at the high today. Just absolutely on fire. And we were just looking. So the gold. I mean, we're still up, even though we've pulled back $10 off the high. We're still up $7 right now on the gold. So question is it going to hold 350 or is it going to pull back a bit more? Probably, I would say probably between 1340 and 1360 we could develop a new range here. But obviously if the Fed do anything kind of outrageous next week in terms of a rate cut, talking about it, actually doing it.
Some of them are starting to use the term Fed fake. To take off on.
I mean, the futures are pricing in a rate cut. That's the reason why the markets are going so well, and the bonds are telling them to do a rate cut. They may be, we're in the middle of a breaking war with Iran, and I'm telling you, it's just. I mean, I was just saying to somebody else this morning, this is like 1979 all over again. Remember, we were at the brink of kind of a nuclear war with Iran back in 1979, and that was part of the reason why gold spiked up $200 in one day back then, and which was a huge gain, from 600 to 800. And remember, imagine if the Fed had to do lower rates a couple of points, right? And then all of a sudden, inflation comes out of nowhere in, say, October, November, just like it did in 1979, and all of a sudden the Fed have to reverse and start raising rates. 21, they raised rates at 21% back then, which was a 400% gain for gold, basically from the summer to January. In just about less than 6 months, gold went up about 400%. So we could be looking at something like that before the end of the year. I mean, we could see a real big run, maybe up to $2,400 in gold, which would be just, incredible. And, I think if we do go up to 2,400, this time it's going to be, we'll be creating a whole new range, probably between 1,800 and 2,400. And it'll be a very big trading environment, because there'll be big swings.
That's right.
For the foreseeable future. But one of the things I probably didn't get across yet, I may have mentioned it yesterday. We'll have to do it for Monday. I did send you this thing, but it's probably hard for you to get it up right now. But, when you look at this particular chart and this kind of volatility trading range, true trading volatility, and you see the base that's been built on for the last 5 years, if you consider what happened, prior to 1999 and 2001, previous lows, probably had a similar kind of a volatility range buildup. And when it broke out, you had a 10-year 7-fold increase in gold. 10 years, 7-fold. And I think we're according to Martin Armstrong, we're going into an 8.5 years upcycle in gold. 8.5 years. So that could equate to another 7 or 8-fold move in gold from our recent lows to crazy sort of heights, over the next 10 years. And it's not impossible for that to happen, because the Fed may need to stimulate the markets a lot. The interest rates may, we're probably going to run into some big problems in 22, 23, 24, where the dollar could get down into the 60s or even the 50s, and it could be a whole different ballgame if that happens. So I think right now gold is just beginning. We're at the beginning of a commodity bull market of monumental proportions, of epic proportions, and there's many commodities that are, when you look at house prices, how much they've gone up in over the years. I mean, gold has got a lot of catching up to do price-wise, and so has silver, especially silver, platinum, and all these things. So we could be living in a whole new world in the 20s and beyond. So but right now the surprises are on the upside. It's almost mandatory to be long the grains, or it certainly has been up until now. We just looked at a possible upward running correction where it looks like we're going to break out on the grains next week. That's something that could hit. Now look, I don't like the structure particularly that we're looking at on the gold right there, but if it just goes down to that weekly trading range, which is way above the previous weekly trade range, right?
Yes, that is a big range there.
And it reverses back higher, and then ends up closing. Either we close the day today around 13.55, or next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday. And what happens if we go down, and then the gold starts rallying into the Fed meeting next week? That could actually be the best of all worlds, because after a pullback from this action here this week, if we start pushing up through 1360, 70 next week, this thing could really go somewhere. And then you've got these problems in the Gulf. I mean, somebody's gunning for trouble. There's gonna be serious trouble, and I think they're trying to tone it down at the moment, but I would say if there's any more nonsense with this tankers and things, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump just takes out a few bases.
Are we getting closer to knowing who actually did it, or do you have a working theory? Is there a working theory on who did this, who attacked the tankers?
Well, there's a lot of ways they could react. They could take out a lot of these small boats that are running around doing this, for starters. They could take out some military installations along the coast. They might even take out a few ships. I mean, it's they could do a lot of things. But
there's some talk that it was a mine in the water.
I heard that. I heard there's a lot of mines, but that's all what we know.
By the way, according to recent reports, it seems that all these people who died in the DR, almost all of them had something from the mini bar.
From the mini fridge. Yeah.
So that kind of speaks of somebody with a kind of maybe a clandestine lab somewhere in the DR making Scotch, their own version of Scotch whiskey, and maybe there's
bathtub gin, right?
Wood spirit and methanol in it, and that's maybe what did it. And the trouble is, because of where it's happening, you don't know if they're going to cover up, the real causes of what happened with these autopsies and things, or whether they'll get to the real truth.
Have you seen this video, John, right here? So to back up its version of events, the U.S. military released a video which it says shows Iran's Revolutionary Guard removing an unexploded liquid mine from one of the ships hours after the initial detonation.
Yeah, I wonder why they would be doing that. Maybe they didn't want to sink the ship or something, probably.
Well, maybe they wanted to get rid of the evidence. I mean, I don't know. I honestly.
Yeah.
Naphtha. What's naphtha used for?
Yeah, good point. Obviously, if it's unexploded, that's they can source the thing a lot easier. Good point.
What's naphtha, John? What's it used for?
Naphtha is a kind of a, it's a very viscous kind of a derivative of gasoline.
Okay. So that's what the Altair was carrying 75,000 tons of it.
Yeah. Like I say, we have enough pollution in the water right now. What do we need? We don't need any more. We don't need any man-made things like this. It's terrible.
I don't know if I'll be able to find this. I did. Wait, that's 2014. There was a. Let me go to news. I misspelled Hawaii. June. This must be it. On the shores of Camilla Point, geologists have identified a new kind of stone. A sediment of recent history, the agglutinated rock displays milky blue flecks, iotas of dull green, and fibrous orange twists. It is known because of its unique properties as plastaglomerate. That the name grinds together two familiar-sounding words is a clue to the stone's qualities. We've thrown that much plastic in the ocean. It's now... You follow me on this here?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should stop that. I mean, I was when I joined the military, when I was in the Navy as a young man. Now, this is back in the days when people still littered. People would still throw a hamburger wrapper out the window. Everyone remembers, I can't think of his name, the Native American who stood by the roadside and somebody threw out a burger wrapper and it rolled to his feet and a single solitary tear rolled down his cheek. He's kind of a famous actor, I think. But anyway, now everyone's ideas about littering has changed, but my first night at sea, when it was time to take out the trash, and there's lots and lots of trash, when you got 225 sailors on a vessel, I'll tell you, where does it go? Throw it off the fantail. Huh? Just throw it off the fantail. Really? Does anybody know about this? I mean, it just didn't seem right, but that's what every naval vessel at sea was doing.
It was routine back then. Everybody did it. It's terrible.
What do they do now? Do they do anything different now?
It's all processed. They have trash compactors and things on the ships and trash processing things. And it has to be, and it's all monitored by the Coast Guard to make sure they're, actually being used and that the trash is coming off. But can you put up the S&P?
The cash or the futures?
Or the NASDAQ, because I want to show. Maybe use a 2-hour chart or a 3-hour chart if you can.
Let's see what my options are. 2 or 3. Take your pick.
Try 3 hours, I think.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, look, you see this structure here. This is almost certain to be taken out on the upside here in the next few days. First of all, you got a very powerful breakaway gap on the upside, and just a runaway move to the, extremely powerful move to the upside.
Right.
And only halfway through the month, and the odds are very high that we might even have a near vertical up move, heading to new highs pretty soon. And if you look at the day, or maybe a 4-hour chart now.
Okay. There we go.
And if you can squeeze that up, you might get a better perspective. So it's really it's pretty bullish, I mean, I think we're on our way to 3,300 if this thing breaks up above 3,000 here, going into June and July. And if you remember what I said, look, the first day, I said this one on that day of the gap, we were about a quarter of the way up when I said, this looks like it's going to last through September, this rally. And so, you know, we had the sense of how strong this would be long before the rest of the story unfolded. And I mean, they can't even knock the market just doesn't seem to want to go down, you know, based on what we're looking at right here.
Yeah, it's like trying to hold that baseball underwater.
Yeah, and when you see this, exactly, when you see this kind of sideways consolidation, I mean, it's a classic bull market scenario. Now, you could always get a bit of a spike down and then it could go up, but it definitely looks like this is one for the ages here. And we may be at the beginning of a mega move of you know, epic proportions. And if you remember, I said the Dow could go up 10,000 points from its recent the January low or the late December low. We were down around 22,000, 2150, something like that. 21,500. So that would take us up to the 32,000, 33,000 area on the Dow.
A comment from Richard in the audience, John. He'd like your thoughts on this. He says, I believe we have a debt bubble which has yet to implode, but eventually will, which I believe will be deflationary and all assets will then decline, metals included. Your thoughts on that?
I don't know about that. It's
I don't see it taking metals down, or gold specifically.
Probably not, no. Well, look, if we get, you know, I don't disagree with what he's saying, because we're going to run into trouble in 22, 23, 24.
We definitely have a debt problem. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and you know, my personal feeling is that we're going, you know, the Weimar Republic of the 1920s, you know, we went from 10% to 100% to 1,000% to 1,000,000%. I think we could be going the same way in the Western currencies that have all the debt, you know, all the Western economies, including the U.S. But it will wipe out all the old debt if the dollar goes down and the currencies go down. You know, all the old debt will be monetized, and it could mean, you know, it could be a point where the Dow goes down to under 10,000 briefly, and gold goes up to say 87,500. The two of them connect at that price, and then, you know, it could be back to business as usual. In other words, you know, the gold might pull back just like it did from 875 back down to you know, what would effectively be you know, from 87,500 back to 3,000 or 4,000, and then eventually maybe down into the 2,000s or somewhere like that in the future. But the amount of debt in the world is got to be fixed in one form or another before too long. And you know, I think we'll get that problem he's talking about maybe in the 30s, you know, in the 2030s. Not necessarily right away. I think they're going to keep trying to, you know, as I said, if being given the Fed thinks they've got the answers to everything, you know, this would be the one hit that where the Fed will have to go into action just like they did in 2009 and kick the can down the road one more time. And by doing that, they'll basically create the environment of the roaring 20s, and we'll have a boom to end all booms going into the 1930s. But after that, the automation problem is going to be a big deal. That's going to put a lot of people out of work. So you could have a 21st century depression in the 30s brought about by automation. Because by the 30s, I mean, who knows where we're going to be with all kinds of, I mean, but the innovation, the innovation wave that's going on right now is mind-boggling, because there's just too much energy in the world. There's too much forward momentum in terms of creating wealth from the wave that we're in at the moment and still in. That could be enough momentum, and with space and hypersonic transport and everything, and flying cars and jetpacks, and medical advances. I mean, it's just an incredible time to be alive, and hopefully we'll live long enough to see these, what'll probably be the greatest era ever, in the next decade.
I agree.
And remember, you're picking up a lot of these countries that have been left behind or are struggling. They're going to, as they already are. I mean, cell phone penetration around the world is something to be. Just like the penetration in Africa and the use of cell phones, that's just going to be more and more and more. So, the internet getting to everybody in the world, and lifting people out of poverty and enabling people to learn more and get businesses going and things like that. And there's probably going to be some major initiatives, just like to address these problems in Honduras and Venezuela and Central America, so that they don't have this immigration problem anymore. And maybe the same with Africa, where it's already happening with China, putting a lot of money into Africa. So, lifting the...
China's buying a lot of land in Africa. I mean, it's a real land grab.
Right.
Because they need to be able to feed their people.
A lot of foreign buying in the U.S. too, staggering amount. I mean, a lot of farms are being taken over by foreign.
That's correct.
So,
and when is this Democratic debate coming up? Is that this weekend? Next week?
No, I think it's maybe June. I think I saw June 20th or something. It's maybe towards the end of this month.
Broadcom. Do you follow Broadcom at all?
Mm-hmm.
What happened? What happened to Broadcom? Let's see. Broadcom. AVGO, that's the... Look at this. Earnings. Missed earnings. Having to do with China and Huawei. Jamie Dimon just had a talk with the president. Unbelievable. I thought I had something here on the debate. Let's see. It's going to be interesting to see. Do you think Joe Biden is too old to be president? Not that I think
he's not too old to run for president. He probably will be too old to be president.
Today's President Trump's birthday. 73.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay. Line up.
How about Baba? Stick up Baba, Dwayne, if you would.
Sure. There we go.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit under pressure. Like Baidu, the same thing. And look at the impact. I guess that was where they thought the deal was going to happen in China. Look at Baidu. Jesus, they already knocked that thing down.
They have.
Can you go to a monthly on that one?
I can. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'm still on the 4 hour. Let's go to a monthly. Okay.
Big deal. Big correction. And put Baba on the same scale. It's been knocked around a bit. So.
Not quite as bad.
Yeah.
One out of three packages
let's have a look
in
at
China.
Latin America, MELI. So look at MELI.
One of three packages shipped in China is shipped by Alibaba.
Yeah.
So I've heard. Give me those letters again.
MELI. Yeah, still making. Oh my God, it's just out of control.
And this is the Latin American Amazon, I think you said?
Exactly.
Similar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, if you could put Amazon up. Let's see. If you look at Amazon, it almost looks like Melly a few months ago, or before its previous consolidation. Take another look at Melly and see what I mean. See where it was consolidating back in last year before it took off. That could be where Amazon is headed.
Wow.
And have a look at Microsoft just to see how that's the biggest, most valuable company in the world right now. Except for, look at that. It's going. It looks like Microsoft's going a lot higher.
Any upside target on it?
They were sure lucky to find this guy Satya to run it. Huh?
Yeah, no, that looks like a good choice.
It looks like it could go to $200. That stock. It's a very powerful uptrend.
What's going on in the bond market?
It could go exponential.
Everybody, roll your beans to November ZSX. And we're on September bonds, CBU. What's your thoughts on the bond market, John?
Well, right now, it's kind of like the stock market where it looks like it's going to break out higher. And I guess if the Fed lowers rates, you're going to see potential. Can you give us the full history or maybe another year?
August of 2017. Yeah, sure.
It's got a ways to go to get back to the all-time highs, but
yes, it does.
Probably going to have some problems at 160. If they do a rate cut, we might get up to 160, and then it might go down after that. That could be a scenario in which the economy starts getting a lot stronger. And remember, we've had a meteoric move up. It's basically the biggest move up ever since, and biggest and fastest move ever, the last 4 months, the 4 months before May. So that should be hitting the economy. The economy should be reflecting that by, what we're seeing at the moment in weakness in the economy is what happened in the fall of last year. That 9 months ahead is a weak economy going into the summer, but then maybe into the fall, the economy picks up dramatically, and possibly, that's why we could still see 4 or 5% growth, especially with the inflation in the fourth quarter, third and fourth quarter. So we could have a soft quarter this quarter and next quarter, and then after that, it could be very strong. And potentially, because we're not that far off all-time highs right now, and if we start breaking out, this is an ideal situation, because if we get up to 32,000, 33,000, by September, say, right, September, October, it's manna from heaven for Trump, because the economy for the following 12 months is likely to be reflecting the fact that the stock market rose by 20 or 30%. And we'll be in an economy going into November that could be, just beyond imagination. We could be growing at 5% or higher a year from now. And, they'll finally get the memo about Trump,
Why do you think Sarah Huckabee Sanders left her job, or is leaving her job? She's been beat up. She's had to take a lot of garbage from people.
Yeah, I call her the bull. She's like a bulldozer, because she doesn't get fazed by anything really, and she can take all the incoming. I think she's done a pretty good job. Maybe she's even though somebody said it last night. Even though you're working in the greatest place in the world, it can be a drag after a while, because it's a tough gig.
My goodness, she was asked to leave that restaurant. She's trying to have a meal. Right? This is America. Mm-hmm. She had money to pay for the meal. She wasn't going to dash and dine. They asked her to leave because of her association with the President of the United States of America.
Isn't that crazy?
Try pulling that crap in China or Russia.
Yeah.
They take you out
Yeah.
and shoot you.
Well, it's sad. It's a sad.
It is sad. It's very sad.
You know, look. The funny thing is, by election day, you know, Trump might tone it down. You know, if he's really smart, he might. By the way, he's at 51% today, approval on Rasmussen, and in spite of all this stuff that happened in the last couple of days, which I think he's basically setting a trap for the Democrats anyway, because they're guilty of sin for doing exactly what he said, you know, would be okay, but for 51%, and he's 47% disapproval. So, you know, if we start breaking out here in the next few days up to 54, 55%, that'll be his highest ratings, you know, so far. And I think, look, you know, every day people are coming over to the Trump side. They really are. I mean, they're coming over in these polls. They're coming over in reality. You've got all the walkaway people, the Brexit people. I mean, did you see the White House meeting yesterday afternoon with Kim Kardashian?
No, I didn't. What do you talk about?
I mean, listen, it was a riveting meeting, because, I mean, that unfortunately probably didn't get much publicity as usual. But I mean, you know, Trump's there working with guys who have come out of jail and turned their lives around, just like you. I mean, you've been doing this before anybody, helping prisoners and stuff rehabilitate. And
well, Jesus started it, you know.
Well, you know, but you I mean, this guy stands up and he ended up couldn't get a job, and he ended up getting a job in a paint shop, and somehow he ended up having a painting business, and got 20 employees or something. So it's really it's kind of a riveting. And listen, Kim Kardashian gave it just an incredibly beautiful speech yesterday. I mean, she couldn't have done it better. And,
really? I'll have to watch that. It looks like I got the video here. I'll watch it after.
She's a very eloquent figure, and she's incredibly smart, and the whole family is incredibly smart in terms of what they've
accomplished.
Done.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just amazing. As a matter of fact, I've been watching this America Has Talent, Got Talent.
America's Got Talent, right? Yeah, my kids will love that show. I like it.
Sometimes this year is not so good, but so far there's a few good people on it. But they've got these new hosts, and I don't think they have enough sort of stature. I was kind of surprised.
I don't know who two of them. I don't even know who two of them are.
Juliet Hough is one of them, and she's
nice. Okay. Now I do know her
good.
from Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, but not so long ago, Simon had Khloe Kardashian as an announcer on one of these.
Oh, it's just like a guest judge one week.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, she was actually kind of like an MC.
Okay, I haven't watched
she did a
this
great
season.
job, but I think if I was Simon, if you got somebody you can bring on the show with 100 million followers, I mean, why wouldn't you want to bring them on the show?
Smart. Yeah.
And have maybe Khloe and Kim as sisters, kind of arguing with each other about talent. I think it would have been a riveting, would draw a massive audience. I mean, Simon, you can't knock him. He's a very accomplished guy as well.
He really is. Yeah.
And it's amazing how these Brits come over and come up with all these incredible shows for US TV, especially the guy behind Survivor and The Apprentice and all these shows, Mark Burnett. I mean, Burnett, I can't understand why the Queen hasn't knighted him yet. My expression is Shakespeare, the Beatles, and Mark Burnett. That's this guy's had a massive impact on entertainment in the last 2 decades, without any doubt. And I mean, I'm kind of surprised that Lewis Hamilton hasn't been knighted yet either. You know, some of these
they
guys.
came out with the list yesterday, the new list of highest paid athletes. 2019, the Forbes list just came out. Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Look at the soccer players. That's first top 3 of soccer players. Imagine that.
Wow.
And then Alvarez is a boxer, Mexican boxer, Federer.
The cutoff to crack the world's 100 highest paid is 25 million.
They just paid almost 200 million for Hazard to go to Real Madrid. He's the highest. He's the biggest, most expensive player in history now.
Look at this. Since 1990, Tiger Woods has held the record 12 times at number 1.
Yeah.
Lionel Messi adds an 8th name to the roll call this year. We have a list. Here, let's see the numbers. Here we go. Here's the numbers. Wow. This is this is amazing. It really is. Now this speaks volumes about the world in which we live today, and I'm not being judgy or preachy here, but this shows where society today places its value. And I'm not going to say it's wrong, or right. It is what it is, and people have a right to their entertainment, and these are the lucky individuals who were gifted, by God to have these incredible talents. And of course, just being born with a talent doesn't mean you're going to become a superstar and rise to the number 1 position. It takes a lot of hard work. These guys worked hard to get there. They didn't get lucky. They didn't hit the lottery. They worked. Every one of these people worked hard to get where they are.
Yep.
Tiger Woods dropped to number 11. But he won't go hungry. He'll be all right. Here's Lewis Hamilton. Now, you believe this guy? Do you see him in the number 1 slot at some point?
As long as if he keeps going the way he's going at the moment, I mean, it's just a matter of time before he's going to be the greatest ever. Without any, he's going to overtake Gary Marker. His ratio of win to losses. Actually, his ratio of win to losses is nothing short of staggering. It's just like, I mean, he's raced 220 something races, I think, right now, and he's won 75 of them. That's pretty incredible.
It is.
So he's got to get up to 90 into the 90s to beat Schumacher, and he's got to win 2 more championships to beat him or to equal him. So
I'm looking at the different sports here as we go down the list. We got soccer, as you said, boxing, tennis, football, basketball, golf, football, auto racing, boxing, football. Then the surprise comes here, MMA, mixed martial arts. That is really growing in popularity. Making some good money. Now, I'm curious when an esports player is going to make this list. And for all I know, there is, let's see, is there any other wild cards? Nope, just seems to be repeating itself. Lots of basketball, lots of soccer. No esports yet. But I tell you, these kids out there with the thumbs, that they're making big money.
Yeah. Hamilton is by far the highest leader in pole positions. I think he's at 85, somewhere like that, 85, 86, 87, somewhere at the moment. So think about that. Out of 220 races, he's been the fastest car. In race preparation, like 1/3 of the time. That's an unbelievable accomplishment.
Here's the top 10 gamers, top 10 esports gamers in the world. coming in at number 10. Currently, Digger's earnings are $2.8 million. Number 9, coming in at $3 million. Number 8. Well, let's just jump to the money shot. Who's in number 1 spot? This is who my son wants to be. He doesn't want to play basketball or football or soccer. This is how he wants to earn his living. God, I hope he makes it. Kuraki Takasomi. German player, still wears the crown for being the highest earning gamer in the world as of 2018 with a whopping total winnings of $4 million. Since Defense of the Ancients, I guess that's the game he plays. Huh. Wow. What a world we live in. Gotta love it. I do. What else you want to cover?
There must be something. Maybe they're making progress with the Iranians, because they're knocking the gold price down pretty hard here. It's kind of making a end of week reversal, which is not. It's. I mean, we've run up pretty quickly. We've run up almost $100 now.
To everyone in the audience who just caught this move from 49 to 46, that bell's for you.
Yeah. So if we're going to turn, we better turn right about here. Otherwise,
we're going to see 36, and then we potentially see 27.
Sometimes you can get these sharp tests, and then they can continue.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, part of the reason for that is the dollar. The euro currencies are getting smashed again today. In fact, the pound's making new lows, which is probably what is doing the gold in, and the dollar is. It looks like it might break out to new highs next week, and so.
Oh, look at that! Yeah, the pound is on the lows for this contract.
The pound. I think the reason for that is Johnson is pulling ahead in the polls, and he's a guaranteed Brexit guy. So that's probably the reason why the pound is going down.
Now the euro.
Kind of interesting that he is pulling ahead in the polls, because he's. I
thought this Boris guy was pretty popular.
So that's what I'm saying, Boris.
Oh, okay, Boris.
Johnson.
Oh, I thought you said. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I heard a different name. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that pound chart doesn't look too bullish, actually, does it?
Well, this is euro, and this is the pound. Yeah, neither one of them are having a great day. Or a great week.
Yeah.
Or a great couple of months. Okay, anything else, John?
Yeah, and by the way, the gold, they're knocking the gold stocks down too, the big ones, Nugget and stuff, which is good, because it probably means you're going to have a chance to buy them. Them just using your mantra, important prices are always tested. And
That's true. That is absolutely true. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. Look at this nugget. It's just falling off the map.
Have a look at NVIDIA. See what that looks like. Because while we're looking good on a lot of parts of the market, there are some areas that are problematic.
It's a nice little bounce NVIDIA had. That's on the daily chart.
You see that doji on that NVIDIA. If that ends up the day like that, it could be the beginning of an up move next week. Can you look at Maxim, MXIM?
There we go.
Yeah. See, I actually kind of like Maxim. And I think so if we start going up through 57 next week, that we could be on a run to new highs in Maxim, actually. And also, let's have a look at, we haven't looked at Keys for a while. I know Keys had big rebound.
Keysight Technologies, there it is.
Yeah, and Xilinx. XLNX.
There we go.
Yeah, it's not. But again, you've got a kind of a doji there today that looks like, it feels to me like next week we're going to see an upside move.
We closed positive today.
Can you have a look at TMUS? See how that's T-Mobile. See how. Yeah, that LABU doesn't look good, does it?
No, it does not. It does not.
Actually,
Needs to see a doctor.
T-Mobile doesn't look so hot either. So.
T-Mobile, yeah, it's come off quite a bit.
Yeah,
any particular
if it
reason?
holds at 73.5, 73, and then goes up, then it's probably going to be all right.
I read an article, and I should have saved it a week ago, that said if you are in the market for a new smartphone, don't buy one yet. That August of this year, into the summer, I don't know if it has anything to do with the 5G or not, but there's something happening, and they're going to be giving away phones left and right. And service, the average price for service for just a normal consumer in America is going to be about $25 a month. So they're just saying, if hold off on getting a new one, wait for the deals, end of the summer. All right.
Yeah. Listen, have a great...
John, take care. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you over the weekend. See you Monday.
Great weekend to everybody. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, John. Bye-bye. Okay, if you caught that move and goal, again, this spells for you, 49 to 46. Now let's see what's going to happen right here. If we drop to 1340, high probability that we go to 37. If we take out 33, high probability we're going to 28, 27, 28. But it's a Friday, and the close is not too far away, so I wouldn't get too carried away with any of those ideas. However, those ideas will be valid Sunday night on the Globex Open. We talked about the Russell. If we see 27, high probability we'll see 24. It's still underway, and there's still time for that to materialize by the close today. S&P, as we said earlier, probably just going to roll sideways into the close. Globex Sunday night, maybe more of the same. Maybe we can get up and get out of here come Monday. Some of you may have read Trading in the Zone. Come spring, hope you'll read Trading in the Spirit. And those videos I talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, if you go to eminitrainingschool.com/private, scroll down. There's one video. Wait, this is from 610. This one is 611. And then there's another one coming from yesterday, 613. And possibly today's. It'll be a condensed version. Of course, you can always go to youtube.com/CFRN, and you'll find years of radio shows. Okay. During the live broadcast, as I tell you every day, I might have forgot to tell you today, throw a slash and a live. There you have a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it happens. It is now time, as we head into the weekend, for our good word for the day. Stand by while I retrieve my notes. Heavens, where have my notes gone? All right, let's do this. Sometimes we wonder just how we're going to get ahead in this world, in this life. I want to encourage you that with determination, that's your part, and God's help, his part, you win. That's a good thing, right? Just flip over, check out the end of the story. You win. With determination and God's help. Psalm 18:32, it is God who arms me with strength and makes my way perfect. Perfect. Interesting word, right? Simply means doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. In trading and in life. Dolly Parton. I grew up listening to Dolly Parton. She was everywhere that my parents were, it seemed, on the radio, on the turntable, even on the TV. In her autobiography, singer Dolly Parton says, my high school was small, so during graduation, each of us got a chance to stand up and announce our plans for the future. I'm going to junior college, one boy would say. I'm getting married and moving to Maryville, a girl would follow. Dolly says that when her term came, she said, I'm going to Nashville to become a star. The entire place erupted in laughter. She says, I was stunned. Somehow, though, that laughter instilled in me an even greater determination to realize my dream. I might have crumbled under the weight of the hardships that were to come had it not been for the response of the crowd that day. Sometimes it's funny the way we find inspiration. Every hero in Scripture, without exception, overcame obstacles and opposition. David writes, they confronted me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my support. He also brought me out into a broad place. He delivered me because he delighted in me. Have you ever had that thought? Have you ever thought that the Lord delights in you? It's true when you're not misbehaving. For by you I can run against a troop. By my God I can leap over a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is proven. He is a shield to all who trust in him. It is God who arms me with strength and makes my way perfect. He makes my feet like the feet of deer and sets me on high places. For you have armed me with strength for the battle. You have subdued under me those who rose up against me. Psalm 18:18. That's how you win at this thing called life and this thing called trading. And that's our good word for the day. It is the weekend. CFRN charter states that you must spend quality time with the family. Of course, I'll see you all in church come Sunday. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.